All right. This isn't going to be a regular post game. I had notes throughout the game like I always do. If you guys watch the post game, you know what happens. I usually go through drive by drive and talk about what happened and what the big plays of the game were and all that. This a 37-15 on Sunday Night Football to drop to 2-5 is not a we're going to go through this drive by drive and talk about it. This is going to be old school. We're going to vibe. We need a little bit of group therapy here. So I'm going to pour myself a little bourbon. If you are of the drinking age and partake, I suggest you do the same thing. If not, grab a water, an iced tea, soda, whatever. But we got some things to talk about here with this team, and I want to make a comparison. If you excuse me, I want to draw a comparison here. So you guys know I've been an open book ever since I've got on YouTube here. I am a diehard Jets, Islanders, and Mets fan. I'm not a basketball guy, but I care very deeply about those three teams. Diehard Jets, Islanders, and Mets fan. And tonight I watched two of my favorite teams' season come to a close 10 minutes apart. And the Mets was literal. The Jets is more figurative. But I can't think of a more distant parallel between two teams right now than the story of the 2024 Mets and the story of the 2024 Jets. The Mets had no expectations going into this year. None. Zero. Not a single expectation. I thought I'm pretty sure I can go back and check, but I'm pretty sure before the season started, I thought they'd win like 82 games. I thought maybe 82-80. Best case scenario, they hang around. Maybe they fight for a wild card spot if things break right, but no expectations. Start 0-5, 11 games under 500 in May. From like June on, they're the best team in baseball, just about. And so many clutch and unbelievable moments. You know, Francisco Lindor home run to get him into the playoffs. You had the Pete Alonso heroic 3-run home run in Game 3 against the Brewers. You had an unbelievable home run grand slam from Francisco Lindor against the Phillies to send them to the NLCS. And while I'm sad, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you today. I'm sad that the Mets season came to a close, but I'm not disappointed in that team. That was one of the most fun seasons, most enjoyable seasons that I've ever watched. When you don't have expectations, far exceed expectations. I'm sad that they fell short. I'm upset that they fell short and didn't win a championship. But they gave everything that they possibly had, and they scratched and clawed and found a way almost all year long to the 6th game of the NLCS. The New York Jets, on the other hand, are a team that came into this season with high expectations. They are getting their quarterback back in Aaron Rodgers. They bring in Hassan Reddick. They make some splashy moves in Tyron Smith and Mike Williams and Morgan Moses, and they draft Olu Fashanu in the top 15. And thoughts are they can legitimately compete for the division. Hand up, I picked them to go 11-6 and win the AFC East. And now through 7 games, they're sitting at 2-5 and have lost 4 straight games. And just got blown out 37-15 on Sunday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know what to say anymore. I don't have answers. I wish usually in a post game like this, I can come on and be like, the Jets lost today because they didn't do this right, or they did, or this mistake. They find new ways to lose every single week. Horrible, absolutely atrocious game. The main thing that I want to point out is the absolute momentum shift at the end of the second quarter. The Jets are cruising. They're up 15-6 with 2 minutes left, 2-minute warning, about to go into halftime. The Jets are driving. Watching the game with my lovely fiance Taylor, and I turned to her and said, This is rare. The Jets have a lead. They have the ball right before right at the 2-minute warning. They're driving, and they get the ball to start the second half. And I said the Jets deferred their toss to the second half for this exact reason. They want an opportunity to get points before the half and then start with the ball and really build momentum. I said, you can put the Steelers away. Instead, Aaron Rodgers throws an interception. And you got to give credit to Bishop. He made an unbelievable play on the ball. The rookie made an unreal play. The Steelers then capitalized on a DPI. And we could talk all day long about, was it really a defensive pass interference? Was it a bad call? This or that. When you lose 37-15, and when you find ways to lose literally every single week, I'm not blaming the refs. That is reason number 700 on the list of actual concerns with this football team. It's just so anyway. The Steelers go and get points right before the half. And it's unfortunately a 15-13 game. So instead of potentially going down the field and getting more points, even just a field goal, let's say a field goal right before the half, instead of being 18-6 at the half or even 15-6, a 9-point lead, or God, dare I say 22-6, instead it's a 2-point game. And then things just begin to unravel even more. A ball hit Garrett Wilson in the chest. It popped off of his chest and was intercepted and returned to the 1-yard line. This team quit. This team is soft. This team sucks. The Jets suck. They are 2-5. They are a bad football team. There's no sugarcoating this. There's no spin zone of they have Devontae Adams now and Hassan Reddick's reporting tomorrow. It's over. You can't come back from 2-5. What have you watched the last 4 weeks to give you any inkling that this team is going to somehow rattle off? They'd have to go like 9-2 to make the playoffs. What has this team showed you that makes you believe that they can go 9-2 the rest of the way? Nothing. They are a soft football team. That's what they are. That's been the story of this team forever. They have the longest active playoff drought in all of sports. All the 4 major sports. The Buffalo Sabres are a couple months behind them, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. Sorry if you're a Sabres fan. They're not good either. I don't know what to say or what the plan is. I got people like, hey, you bring back mock draft Mondays, and I love doing mock draft Mondays, but I didn't want to do it on fucking October 21st. Sorry for the language. On October 21st, this is not how this season was supposed to go. We're not going to get meaningful December games. We were hoping in 2022, that's 2 years ago now, year 2 Zach Wilson, going into that year, the thought was, you know what, they probably, they were 4-13 the last year. If they could play some meaningful December games and get going in the right direction, that'd be enough. That would satisfy me. You're not going to get that this year. The season's over before Halloween. In a year where you have Aaron Rodgers, you traded for Hassan Reddick, you traded for Devontae Adams, you signed Tyron Smith, who is awful, by the way. Awful. The guy's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is so done, it's not even funny. He's not an upgrade over Mekhi Becton. How does that happen? The Jets signed future Hall of Famer Tyron Smith, and he is somehow worse than what Mekhi Becton was last year. Every single week, he has a false start penalty, and he gives up a sack and multiple quarterback pressures every fucking week. Every week. Banged up on the defensive side of the ball. Defense didn't want to tackle tonight. Did not want to tackle. They allowed 37 points. The Steelers had over 400 yards of offense. They were outscored. After going up 15-6, the Steelers scored 31 unanswered points. 31. That's a team that quit. This is a team that is broken. This is, I tweeted out, I think this is rock bottom. I don't know how it gets worse than this. I really don't. And I feel broken. I really do. And maybe that's on me for getting my hopes up for this year, right? Why would I do that after this team has just shown time and time again? But I'm sorry if you blame me for getting excited about the idea of watching Aaron Rodgers throw the ball to Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and, bringing in some names to improve this offensive line. And the offensive line hasn't improved. And, a defense that's been towards the top of the league. I think it was completely reasonable to think that this team would break their playoff drought this year and could have the potential to make noise. Instead, we get a poorly coached, soft, boring football team. That's boring might be unfair because the Jets are so chaotic off the field that they give you content no matter what. And even if you want to say like, oh, this is still good content, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I want to cover a football team that's good. I've made videos on the internet for 6 years on this team, and not once have I covered a winning football team. Best season I've seen was a 7-9 Adam Gase team. That's it. 2019 was the best team that we covered at 7-9. 7-10 the last 2 years. They're 2-5 now and on their way to probably another losing season. Haven't had a winning record since 2015. And where do you go? What do? You blow it up? Your season's over on October 20th. They're not coming back from this. Even the most optimistic of Jet fans, I think, have to be a little bit broken, right? Like, I know I always get in the comments too. Like, there's always a few people who are just so negative and are, nothing good's gonna ever happen with this team, and they can't get excited in the off season. And I'm really tired of this team winning off seasons. And going into this year, I was okay with the Jets bringing back Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, but the thing that I said was, look, we can talk about all the roster changes that they've made since 2021, but it's time for this team to win football games. And, Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas on the last year of their deal, like, it's put up or shut up time for those guys. Robert Saleh was gone after 5 games. Joe Douglas really isn't the GM right now. Woody Johnson's been doing everything. He's the one who fired Robert Saleh. He's the one who traded for Devontae Adams. He's the one who got Hassan Reddick in the building. Joe Douglas has got to go at the end of this year. If they don't make the playoffs, how could you possibly justify bringing back a guy who's under his watch of the New York Jets? They have been a really bad football team over the last 6 years. They're bad at football. That's the reality. They had 5 penalties for 50 yards in this game, 2 turnovers. Their special teams were horrible again. Greg Zuerlein had a 35-yard field goal attempt blocked. Aaron Rodgers threw 2 picks. He did not look good in this game. He ended up finishing 24-39, 276 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, a 70 passer rating. Breece Hall, 12 carries, 38 yards, 3.2 yards per attempt. Breece Hall in receiving was good, 6 for 103. Tyler Conklin finally caught a touchdown pass, his first since, the Patriots game in 2022? I'm sorry. I know that some probably wanted to come into this video and be like, all right, well, yeah, let's watch Matt break it down. There's nothing to break down from this game. This isn't a post game. Again, I'm repeating myself now at the top. This isn't a game with notes. I have no notes. I'm looking at spoiler. There's a prompter in front of this camera. It's blank. There's nothing there. This is just a genuine, we need to talk about our favorite football team because they have problems. I don't know what to say. I don't know where they go from here. I don't know when it gets better. I don't know if it gets better. Felt like the Christopher Moltisanti meme where it's like, you ever feel like nothing good was going to ever happen? And that's really how I felt tonight. And maybe that's unfair to, I'm looping this back to the beginning of my monologue here. Maybe that's unfair to my Mets who way overachieved. But even in a year where it felt like they were, it was a magical team, it's yet another season where I watch my favorite team have their season end before they win a championship. I'm 6 months away from turning 30 years old. I have never seen one of my 3 favorite teams that I've listed off, the Jets, Islanders, or Mets, win a championship. I only remember the Mets playing in the World Series in 2015. I was too young to really remember 2000. I've seen two in my lifetime. They've made the final, right? Like in whatever sport, twice. Three teams, 30 seasons, 90 years of sports, and 2 appearances in the championship. And maybe you don't want to hear like what was Matt here, right? Like Matt's going to come on and be upset and mention like the 2 other teams that he roots for. Like, this is a Jets channel. I want to listen to this. Sorry, that's not where I'm at. This is a vent session for me, and I half joke and say that this is therapeutic for me because when I'm lucky enough to meet so many people who, watch my work every single day, and they're like, man, like it feels like so therapeutic to listen to Jets talk and have someone like who can relate to us, and that means the absolute world to me. But I don't want it to just be Matt can relate to our misery. I want to watch a good team, and I don't know when that's going to change because it's not going to be in 2024. I can tell you that much. Jets lose 37-15 on Sunday Night Football to the Pittsburgh Steelers and fall to 2-5. They've lost 4 games in a row. They fired the coach after the Vikings game 2 weeks ago. Last week, they traded for Devontae Adams. This week, they're bringing in Hassan Reddick. It's not going to matter. Doesn't matter. Their season's over on October 21st. Or October 20th. Sorry, it's midnight now, so the calendar flipped over to October 21st. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.